Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, growing protests in Gaza against Hamas as Palestinians say, we've had enough and we don't want you. We are done. And the Israeli government encouraging the protests as the military keeps up its assault on Hamas. We're going to bring you the story from Jerusalem. Here in the United States, Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider, facing a loss of taxpayer money from the government, as the White House, Congress, and even the Supreme Court are all considering action. And what happened after a Russian drone strike on a church in Ukraine killed 3 people? We're going to hear from a pastor of that church. All those stories and more right now on CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
We've made it to Thursday, have lots to get to this hour. Let's begin in the Middle East with the growing protest against Hamas in Gaza, which some believe could mark a turning point in the war between Israel and the terrorist group, as Israel is also keeping up its military assault. Chris Mitchell brings us the story now from Jerusalem.
Protests in Gaza have spread to the capital, Gaza City, and the former Hamas stronghold of Khan Yunis. Some of it aimed directly at Hamas for making its citizens endure this terrible, now 17-month-long war. In Gaza City, protesters shouted, "Out, out, Hamas, get out." The protest started Tuesday in Beit Lahia and continued on Wednesday with chants of, "The people want the fall of Hamas." This Gazan used the media to talk straight to Hamas.
We have had enough and we do not want you. We are done. We gave you enough chances, but you let us down like all people in this world. We want a decent life for us and our children.
Atia al-Barawi lost his 15-year-old son in this war and shouted, "Hamas destroyed us and brought us disaster."
Well, I think this is like the best news that I've heard in a very, very long time.
IDF reserve soldier Yair Pinto told CBN's Raj Nir the unprecedented protests may signal a turning point.
Hamas has been keeping the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip as hostages, basically using them as human shields, brainwashing the population for more than 20 years. And finally, we see them stand up and speak against this terrorist organization, saying, we had enough of war, we had enough of destruction.
Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz encouraged the people of Gaza to stand up to Hamas.
Learn from the residents of Beit Lahia. Like them, you too should demand the removal of Hamas from Gaza and the immediate release of all Israeli hostages. That is the only way to stop the war.
For the first time since October 7th, a recent poll shows a significant drop of support for Hamas's deadly attack on Israel from 57% to 39%. At the Knesset, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu added another threat to the terror group.
And
I say to Hamas, this includes seizing territory, and this includes other things that I will not list here.
On the eve of a major conference on anti-Semitism, Israeli President Isaac Herzog addressed the alarming surge in global anti-Semitism since October 7th and called on Jewish communities and their allies to take action.
I say to you, dear leaders and activists, fight. Fight and don't give up. To my Jewish brothers and sisters who are here and all over the world, I say, I understand your concerns for the safety of your communities and for the future of your children, and I understand your pain and outrage, and I understand your concern for Jewish life. I also understand and I share your worries in this urgent battle. The State of Israel is your full partner, and we are all in this battle.
Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem with more. So, Chris, let's begin with the protest against Hamas. Has Hamas ever faced opposition like this from within Gaza, and could this protest movement grow?
First of all, Efrem, I don't think we've seen this kind of protest with Hamas at all ever since they've been in control since 2007. Could this protest movement grow? It could grow. We do know there is, in some places and in some Gazans, very deep resentment. I think we've mentioned before, Channel 12 report, where a reporter went in there, and many of these people that he talked to were cursing Hamas and Yahya Sinwar, the late Hamas leader. But it does seem to be building in the last few days, but really hard to quantify, Ephraim, since dissent in Gaza under Hamas is swiftly quashed with torture, beatings, death. Could this be a turning point? There's certainly a great hope there would be. Many people are praying for this, and maybe it would help release the hostages. And again, that's what people around the world have been praying since October 7th. But we'll wait to see how this unfolds.
When the protests began, some people were skeptical and didn't believe they were real. Does the Israeli government think these protests are genuine?
Well, we know at the very least in our report, we had Israel Katz encouraging them to continue this protest. And we do know that Israel has sent text messages to many people in Gaza urging them to refuse Hamas. On the other hand, Ephraim, we do know that in Gaza, there's really no thing as freedom of speech or protest. It really doesn't exist. So could it be that these, quote, anti-Hamas protests are actually something Hamas is allowing? Some people think it's classic psyops to show the world how democratic Hamas really is. And so this is remains to be seen how these are going to fold, or is this something Hamas is using as deception for what's really happening in inside Gaza?
How does the Israeli leadership think Hamas will respond to these protests?
Well, it really depends, as we've been saying. What's underneath the surface? Are these real anti-Hamas protests? We do know just in the last 2 weeks, and since the military action has started again in Gaza, that Hamas has lost much of their leadership, and they're not the same they were even a few weeks ago. And maybe they think it would be a mistake to go after these protesters. Another factor, Ephraim, is Israel has cut off humanitarian aid. So this is obviously putting more pressure on the people, and is this bringing so much pressure on them that finally they're breaking through this repression and oppression by Hamas to actually go out on the streets. We'll be seeing what's going to unfold in the next few days and weeks, if this is really a legitimate protest, organic from the people themselves, or is this something manipulated by Hamas itself?
As you reported, Prime Minister Netanyahu is threatening Hamas with more military action. What might Israel do, and what has it accomplished since it started the attacks after the ceasefire ended?
Well, they're seizing territory, and what that would do, it really, Ephraim, would be, and that's what Netanyahu said at the Knesset. It really hits at the heart of Hamas ideology and some Islamic theology, which means that they must control the land that has once been ruled by Hamas. So if Israel actually took over that territory permanently, that would be a real blow to them. There's a concept in Islam called the House of Peace and the House of War. The House of Peace is that part of the world that is controlled or subjugated by Islam. The House of War is where Islam is not the ruler, and that's where the friction is between radical Islam and the West or other nations. So that would be a big part. And to your point about the military operation, it really has advanced in the south, in Rafah, in the north as well, and that strategic Netzarim corridor we have mentioned before. So it seems like the combination of a lack of the humanitarian aid, which most of it had been stolen by Hamas, and the military operation maybe having a profound impact.
Chris, you also reported that Israel's president is speaking out about the alarming growth of anti-Semitism around the world since October 7th. How is the Israeli government dealing with that?
Well, one thing is they're having a major anti-Semitism conference that Herzog spoke on the eve of that. That's happening today. They have a huge increase in their budget for public diplomacy and public relations. And one of I think the main things is reaching out to allies of Israel. Yesterday here in our studio, we talked to Thomas Sandel, the founder of the European Coalition for Israel. They've been supporting Israel for about almost 25 years. Pastor Larry Huck is here as well, speaking at the conference, one of those Christian Zionists who's standing by Israel, and I think that's a big part of their combat against anti-Semitism.
All right, Chris Mitchell reporting for us. Thank you so much for your insight. As always, we look forward to hearing from you, of course, in the days ahead. Coming up, Planned Parenthood facing a major cut in federal funding from the government, with the White House, Congress, and even the Supreme Court all involved. We're going to bring you the story when we come back. You are watching CBN Newswatch. Planned Parenthood, America's largest abortion provider, is facing challenges on a number of sides. As CBN's medical reporter Lori Johnson shows us, the executive branch, Congress, and the Supreme Court are all considering measures that could diminish Planned Parenthood's power.
The Trump administration may soon freeze tens of millions of dollars in federal funding for groups providing abortions, including Planned Parenthood. As soon as this week, the Health and Human Services Department could announce a hold on more than $27 million in funds, a spokesperson told the Wall Street Journal. The department is reviewing grant recipients to make sure they comply with President Trump's executive orders and federal law. This year, the government was set to distribute $120 million in grants to organizations that deal with family planning.
This is good news. It's a good first step for defunding Planned Parenthood and taking actions to stop subsidizing abortion in our country. And when we look at what Planned Parenthood does every year in taking the lives of 400,000 unborn children in this country, that is the equivalent to the population of New Orleans.
Pro-life Congressman Chris Smith also supports the administration's plan to limit funds to Planned Parenthood. He's also seeking to help crisis pregnancy centers. Earlier this week, he introduced a bill to protect the more than 2,700 CPCs.
Some state governments, like my own state of New Jersey, and some lawmakers seek to discriminate against pregnancy care centers by violating fundamental conscience rights to compel complicity in abortion.
The Let Pregnancy Care Centers Serve Act protects the centers from retaliation for refusing to promote abortion.
Our Attorney General, Letitia James, she tried to shut down any pro-life pregnancy center from being listed on a Google search. So can you imagine the evil of someone that would do that?
This group says pregnancy resource centers have saved countless lives.
And when they do that, Planned Parenthood, the largest provider of abortion in the nation, loses profits and potential donors. As we know, pro-abortion government officials in several states are working side by side with Planned Parenthood to shut down the centers.
Meanwhile, next week, the U.S. Supreme Court will consider whether South Carolina can block Planned Parenthood from receiving Medicaid dollars.
South Carolina, supported by the U.S. government, agrees that states must have the authority to steward limited Medicaid resources toward providers that align with their values and serve their citizens' true healthcare needs.
The ruling is expected to be handed down this summer. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Still ahead, as the war in Ukraine rages on, a deadly attack by Russia with a drone hitting a church early Sunday, killing 3 people. We're going to hear from the pastor of that church right after this. President Donald Trump says Russia may be dragging its feet to end the fighting with Ukraine. The president believes both Ukraine and Russia want to end the war, but Russian conditions may be blocking a limited ceasefire. In the meantime, Russian airstrikes over the Ukraine capital of Kyiv continue almost daily. One of the most recent attacks killed 3 people when a drone hit Emmanuel Church early Sunday morning. On this week's episode of The Global Lane, a church pastor explains what happened to the praise team's lead singer, her husband, and 5-year-old daughter.
Between Saturday night and Sunday, and in our territory have a small house. We use this house for people who need sleep and stay in church. It's for ministry and something like that. And for this night, this kamikaze drone arrived, hit our territory at like 20 meters from this house. an explosion, big explosion, damaged this house in seconds. And in this house, at this night, stay family, young family, Alexandra, their daughter, Nicole, and Alexander, his father, and daughter died immediately. And Alexandra still alive now.
Well, Alexandra, we understand she is the lead singer of your church worship team. Is she still in critical condition? What is her current medical condition?
It's now she wants additional medical operation. She's sleep in mattress, yeah? Mm-hmm. An explosion put this mattress, and she's on the mattress, fly away.
Oh.
Yes, in this mattress stopped shrapnel and additional damage.
Does she know that her husband and 5-year-old daughter were killed?
Yeah. She know for this time, and more people from our church every day coming to her and speak and help. She's still a faith, if it's possible, but she's strong.
So your church is getting through this tragedy.
More people from our church come to church at Sunday and see all of this. It's terrible. It's not simple, but good.
Your church needs to be repaired.
Yeah, our church needs repair because this explosion damaged all around this. Around explosion, our main house, from side where we have coffee corner and video studio, and the school classes.
Oh, Sunday school classes too.
Yeah. Because explosion wave damage more position deep in our building.
Was this an intentional bombing of the church or by accident? What were they targeting? What was the target?
I don't know. People, military people, don't say for us anything, but it's Kyiv.
The church is in an industrial zone or area.
Yeah, but not in center. It's
on the edge.
Corner, yeah.
What can we do to help your church right now, and also to help Alexandra?
Oh, first of all, is praying. We need praying for Alexandra, for his health. We need praying. Pray, please, for our church, for our people, because our people still live in Kyiv. Every day we have alarm, air alarm. We're strong in faith. We're strong in faith, and we do it. We serve for another people. If we need praying, and if you want, you can help for our repaired building. It's very big help for us.
And I think you said when we pray, yes, pray for peace. But what type of peace are you talking about?
We believe real peace comes only through Jesus Christ. It's our main position. And this peace comes for us every day. And that's why we continue to share gospel and help to people.
Okay, the peace that passes all understanding. Pasha of Emmanuel Church in Kyiv, Ukraine, thank you for joining us. Our prayers are with you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Also on this week's episode of The Global Lane, attacks against Tesla and the head of Doge, the genius of Elon Musk, and how you can go and how low can they go. Congress may soon decide if it should reduce American income taxes. You can see it all on The Global Lane. It's coming up this evening on the CBN News Channel at 8 Eastern. You can also see it on the CBN News app, or you can find it on YouTube. Coming back with an encouraging word for your Thursday. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch. And welcome back to CBN News Watch. Right now, it is time for your Thursday Thankful. I ask for you to join me in this prayer of gratitude. God, thank you for the very air I breathe. It's a gift, and it's a gift that comes with a promise. That promise is I still have purpose. Help me not to lose sight of that and to follow your lead to fulfill the purpose you've placed on me. And to that prayer, may we all say amen and amen. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time. You can also find them online. That address is cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us. The address is newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye, God bless, and thank you for watching.